Right to die with dignity, a landmark judgment explained. What happens when a person's life is no longer a life, but just an existence? What happens when someone is trapped in a body that doesn't respond, with no chance of recovery, and no way of expressing their wishes? This is the story of Aruna Shanbaug. Her case brought India face to face with a deeply emotional question. Does anyone have the right to die with dignity? And how far should the law intervene in such deeply personal matters? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most heart-wrenching, controversial, and groundbreaking legal cases in India's history. A case that raised questions about euthanasia, human dignity, and even the very nature of life itself. The Aruna Shanbaug case. This case not only questioned India's understanding of the right to life, but also challenged our ideas of how we should care for those who can't care for themselves. So, let's break it down and get into the details. The Aruna Shanbaug case, right to die with dignity. The video delves into the landmark Aruna Shanbaug case, highlighting the ethical and legal dilemmas surrounding euthanasia and the right to die with dignity, as well as the Supreme Court's landmark judgment, exploring the nuances of life and dignity. Aruna Shanbaug was a dedicated nurse working at the KM Hospital in Mumbai in the early 1970s, but in 1973 her life was shattered in an unimaginable way. A hospital ward boy named Sohan Lal assaulted her, leaving Aruna with severe brain damage. The attack caused her to fall into a persistent vegetative state, rendering her unconscious for the next 37 years. For decades, Aruna could neither speak, move, nor recognize anyone. She was entirely dependent on others for even the most basic needs. For almost 4 decades, Aruna was cared for by the staff of KM Hospital. Though her body remained alive, she could not respond. Her life was sustained by a feeding tube and regular care, but Aruna was unaware of it all. She existed but did not live. By the time 2011 came around, Aruna had spent 37 years in this state, and her situation had sparked a major debate. Was it fair to keep her alive like this? Should she have the right to die with dignity? Or was it the moral duty of society and the state to preserve life at all costs? In 2011, Pinki Virani, a journalist and activist who had been advocating for Aruna's right to die with dignity, approached the Supreme Court of India. Virani had followed Aruna's story for years and felt that Aruna's continued life was nothing short of inhuman. Virani filed a petition seeking passive euthanasia for Aruna, asking the court to withdraw life support, as Aruna had no cognitive function and no hope of recovery. She argued that Aruna's condition had no quality of life and that continuing life support was only prolonging her suffering. But there was a major problem. Aruna had never expressed her wishes about what should happen if she ever found herself in this condition. Could we infer her wishes based on the circumstances of her life? And more importantly, did she have the right to die with dignity? The Indian Constitution guarantees the right to life under Article 21. This includes the right to live with dignity. But the big question in this case was, does the right to live with dignity also mean a right to die with dignity? And if so, what conditions should apply? The petitioners, led by Pinki Virani, argued that the right to life was not just about staying alive at all costs. They contended that living with dignity was just as important as the right to live. In their view, Aruna had lost all cognitive function and no longer had any quality of life. Therefore, allowing her to die peacefully was the humane thing to do. On the other hand, the state of Maharashtra and hospital authorities argued that there was a moral and ethical duty to preserve life, no matter the condition of the patient. They believed that life should be preserved unless there was absolutely no hope, and that active euthanasia or assisted suicide would set a dangerous precedent. So we have two conflicting arguments. On one hand, we have the right to die with dignity when a person's life is devoid of meaning. On the other hand, the argument for preserving life at all costs, because that's the ethical thing to do. After months of deliberation on March 7, 2011, the Supreme Court of India delivered its historic ruling. The court recognized that while passive euthanasia, the withdrawal of life support, was permissible, it could only be allowed under very strict conditions. Here's what the court decided. Right to life and dignity. The court reaffirmed that Article 21 guarantees the right to life, but that this includes the right to live with dignity. And yes, this also means the right to die with dignity, but under strict oversight. Passive euthanasia. The court ruled that passive euthanasia, withdrawing life support, could be allowed, but only with judicial scrutiny and the approval of a medical board. 3. Safeguards. Any decision to withdraw life support must be carefully examined by a medical board consisting of senior doctors and approved by the High Court. This ensures that the decision is made in the patient's best interest. But there's a twist. Despite recognizing the right to die with dignity, the court did not allow Aruna Shanbaug to end her life. Why? Because there was no clear evidence that she had expressed a desire to die, and the court concluded that she was not suffering physically. They believed Aruna still had a right to live, even in her vegetative state. The case sparked heated debates across India. Supporters of the judgment celebrated it as a compassionate step forward for the right to die with dignity, arguing that it respected personal autonomy. But critics feared that this ruling could lead to abuses and that passive euthanasia could be misused in other cases. The ruling also laid the groundwork for future legal reforms on euthanasia. The euthanasia bill has been discussed in Parliament but hasn't yet been passed. However, the Aruna Shanbaug case remains a key turning point, setting the stage for a more structured and regulated approach to euthanasia in India. Aruna Shanbaug's case is more than just a legal battle. It is a reminder of how we treat our most vulnerable. It challenges our notions of life, dignity, and morality, and forces us to confront the realities of suffering. Though Aruna didn't get the relief she sought, her case opened the door for others who might find themselves in similar situations. What do you think? So what do you think? Do you believe that someone should have the right to choose death over suffering, or should life be preserved at all costs? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into important legal cases like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.